This is Matthew Cratter from Bitcoin University, and today I wanted to talk about Bitcoin. Do we want Bitcoin to be a Swiss Army knife, or do we want it to be a sword? I think the primary use case for Bitcoin is that Bitcoin allows anyone in the world to send value, to receive value, and to store value in a self-sovereign way, where you can hold those 12 words, you can hold your own keys, and you have perfect self-sovereignty when it comes to storing Bitcoin and when it comes to signing and sending Bitcoin transactions. And I think that's good enough. That's ambitious enough. That's actually a $500 trillion total addressable market, which really is the biggest type of market in the world. So this is Bitcoin, what I'm going to call Bitcoin the sword. Then we have the vision of Bitcoin as more of a Swiss Army knife, something like this. This is a meme, but it pretends to be from Amazon. I tried to fix my nails, but in the process, I accidentally fixed a small engine that was nearby, which was nice. This is the Swiss Army knife idea. And the way it applies to Bitcoin, the Swiss Army knife, we need to put all medical records and real estate deeds and company supply chain data on Bitcoin. We need to make Bitcoin Turing complete at the base layer so they can do complex multi-step smart contracts. Otherwise, if we don't do all these things, the threat always is that Bitcoin's going to be flipped by Ethereum or Solana or XRP or Doge or something ridiculous like this. Now, here's the problem. If we try to do everything on the Bitcoin base layer, we not only risk the very obvious thing, we risk blockchain bloat, which can lead to a lack of decentralization as it becomes more difficult and expensive for nodes to download the blockchain and verify that all consensus rules are being followed. That may be solved eventually by zero-knowledge proofs or something like this, but I think there's a much bigger issue. We also risk breaking Bitcoin's core functionality as a way of sending, receiving, and storing economic value. When we make a change to Bitcoin at the base layer, it's not just the known unknowns that we should be worried about. As I believe it was Donald Rumsfeld would have said, it's the unknown unknowns and the unintended consequences that we should be most fearful of, because even a tiny change to block size, to miner incentives, etc. going forward could have cascading and possibly even fatal consequences for Bitcoin. We could actually vaporize $500 billion of value and destroy all that potential, destroy mankind's greatest hope, just by not having the patience to sit still in a room and do nothing. And it's often developers who want to be busy and want to keep innovating. It's fine to innovate on higher layers of Bitcoin, but we really should not have that much innovation happening anymore at the base layer. Bitcoin is a sword. It's a $500 trillion addressable market cap, and it is good enough. A couple updates, a couple upgrades, the SegWit upgrade and the Taproot upgrade gave us, when combined, gave us ordinals and inscriptions. And I think Peter McCormack had an interesting observation about a month ago. In this tweet, he said, "Is it me, or do the same people who want drive chains also want ordinals?" Just an observation, almost like liberal Bitcoin versus conservative Bitcoin. And Peter McCormack, who's known as being a little more left wing, at least politically among the Bitcoiner crowd, says, "I side with conservatism here." And it's important to realize he's talking about something a little bit different. Conservative Bitcoiners, in the etymological sense of actually conserving something, not changing something, being very slow to change things. And I would definitely put myself on the same side as Peter McCormack when it comes to things like this. Now, I'm not personally quite as offended by inscriptions as some people. I can see a use for them now that we have them, putting essential documents on the Bitcoin blockchain that we'd like to see preserved forever. For example, how to print tools of self-defense, important political information, other free speech uses. Bitcoin, the blockchain as a free speech repository, which I talk about in this video, which I'll link to in the description notes below. However, it turns out we didn't really need ordinals for this. Someone put Tankman, Tiananmen Square Tankman. They put this image on the Bitcoin blockchain in order to troll China. This was back in March of 2017, the famous picture from Tiananmen Square with the man standing against the 4 tanks. So this is something people have been putting stuff on the Bitcoin blockchain long before inscriptions, as a lot of people don't really realize. But no one could have told you, and this is the important point, no one could have told you that SegWit plus Taproot upgrades would lead to inscriptions and issuing shitcoins like BRC20 tokens directly on Bitcoin. Obviously, BRC20 tokens, a complete waste of time, trending to zero against Bitcoin. And this is a scary thing that no one could have foreseen these consequences. I'd say we've been lucky so far in Bitcoin's development history. But going forward, we need everyone in the Bitcoin community to understand that changing any Bitcoin parameter could have rippling and possibly fatal consequences. It's a little bit like the metaphor of the weather and the butterfly. The butterfly flaps his wings in one place, and all of a sudden you have a hurricane in another part of the world. And I think Bitcoin is this completely optimized, amazing thing. We should be very careful not to play with the parameters too much. This is the importance of humility and conservatism when it comes to Bitcoin. And I'm going to show you a picture of the opposite of that. This is Nick Carter, who has me blocked on Twitter. I don't know the complete context for this, but someone sent me this slide or put it on Twitter. We can see he's talking about the long-term security budget of Bitcoin, which, as we've talked about on this channel, is not a problem at all because of transaction fees. His possible solutions: fees rise to a stable plateau, which is fine. Increase issuance, bust the 21 million cap, which is, in my opinion, complete blasphemy. That completely destroys what Bitcoin is, the core of Bitcoin. Old coin recycling, create new demand for block space. Altruistic mining, move to backdoor proof of stake. This shows a complete lack of humility, and I would urge people like Nick, and when confronting people like Nick, to put this forward. Let's not ruin Bitcoin, the sword. It is so powerful. It is so important. It is our greatest hope. And the worst thing that could ever happen is that we ruin it inadvertently by trying to turn Bitcoin instead into a Swiss Army knife. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to hit that subscribe and like button. Hit the notification bell if you want to be notified when I publish my next video. And let me know your questions and comments and suggestions for a future video topic in the comment section below. Thanks a lot for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.